Before we begin, take a second and subscribe to the channel. Every story shared here carries a piece of real life, moments that challenge us, change us, and sometimes force us to look at ourselves in ways we never expected. If stories about relationships, choices, and personal growth resonate with you, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next one. Now let me tell you something that changed the way I see my life forever. My name is Lauren. I'm 32 years old. For most of my adult life, I believed I understood what it meant to live a stable, happy life. I believed that if you followed the steps you were supposed to follow, find someone kind, build a quiet home together, create routines that keep everything running smoothly, then happiness would naturally follow. But the truth is something I only realized much later. For years, I wasn't truly living. I was existing. There's a difference between those two things, though it can be incredibly hard to notice when you're trapped inside the routine. Existing feels safe, predictable, comfortable. You wake up, follow the same patterns, move through your responsibilities, and go to sleep thinking tomorrow will look exactly like today. And for a long time, I thought that meant everything was working. I woke up each morning at the same time. I made coffee in the same chipped mug I'd been using for years. I checked my phone while the toast browned in the toaster. I drove to work along the same streets, stopping at the same lights, listening to the same radio station that played songs I barely even noticed anymore. Then evening would arrive. Dinner would be quiet. The television would hum softly in the background. Conversations were short and practical. How was work? Busy. Anything interesting happen? Not really. And then another day would quietly disappear. It took me years to understand something about numbness. It rarely arrives dramatically. It creeps in slowly, quietly, until one day you realize you haven't felt deeply alive in a very long time. And that's exactly what happened to me. I didn't notice how distant I'd become from my own emotions. I didn't see how much of my life had turned into automatic movement instead of meaningful experience. Not until one very small decision changed everything. But before I tell you about that moment, you need to understand the life I was living. I had been married to my husband, Michael, for 8 years. Michael is the kind of man most people would describe as dependable. The kind of person who shows up when he says he will. The kind of person who keeps promises without needing reminders. If you asked our friends or family about him, they would probably say the same thing. He's a good man. And they would be right. Michael is gentle in a quiet way. He doesn't speak loudly or demand attention. He listens carefully when people talk. He's patient, thoughtful, and deeply loyal. The kind of person you trust without hesitation. Our life together looked peaceful from the outside. There were no dramatic fights. No explosive arguments. No broken plates or slammed doors. In fact, many people probably envied the calmness of our relationship. But calm can sometimes hide a different kind of problem. Silence. Our mornings followed the same script every single day. Michael would leave for work a little earlier than I did. He'd kiss me on the forehead while grabbing his keys, whispering a soft "see you tonight." I would smile half awake and say the same words I always said. Drive safe. And then the door would close. Evenings were just as predictable. We'd eat dinner together. Sometimes we watched television. Sometimes we scrolled through our phones while sitting on opposite ends of the couch. There was nothing wrong with it. But there was also nothing truly alive about it either. Over time, our conversations became shorter. Our laughter became rarer. The quiet space between us grew larger, though neither of us knew how to talk about it. And the strangest part? There wasn't anger between us. There wasn't resentment. There was simply distance. The kind of distance that slowly forms when two people stop sharing the deeper parts of themselves. For years, I told myself this was normal. That relationships naturally settle into comfortable rhythms. That excitement fades and routine replaces it. But what I didn't realize at the time was that routine had quietly replaced something more important. Connection. Looking back now, I can see the exact moment when everything started to shift. It happened on a completely ordinary evening. I was sitting on the couch scrolling through my phone while Michael watched a documentary on television. My attention drifted through social media posts that I barely registered. Photos of vacations, people celebrating birthdays, advertisements for things I didn't need. Then something caught my eye. A simple event post. Friday night dance social, open to singles and couples. There was a picture of a small dance studio filled with warm lighting and smiling faces moving across the floor. For a moment, I just stared at it. Dancing. It had been years since I'd danced. Not at weddings. Not at parties. Not anywhere. Somewhere along the way, that part of my life had quietly disappeared. But the idea stayed in my mind longer than I expected. Maybe it was the music playing softly in the video preview. Maybe it was the laughter in the room. Or maybe it was something deeper. A small voice inside me whispering that I wanted to feel something different. Something alive. At first, I ignored it. But the thought kept returning. Later that night, while brushing my teeth and staring at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, I heard myself say something unexpected. I think I want to try something new. Michael looked up from his laptop. What kind of something? There's a dance night downtown on Fridays, I said. It looks kind of fun. He didn't hesitate. You should go. I blinked in surprise. You don't mind? Of course not, he replied. If it makes you happy, you should try it. He said it with complete sincerity. But something about that moment stayed with me. He encouraged me to go. Yet he didn't ask to come with me. At the time, I didn't question it. Looking back now, I realized that small detail mattered more than I understood. That Friday, I drove to the studio alone. And I had no idea that walking through that door would lead me to one of the most complicated emotional crossroads of my life.